Warning. The Intercontinental Committee on Podcasting warns that listening to the Get the Fluff Out podcast may induce euphoric feelings of nostalgia, which may lead to complete and total ratitude.
The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
For fuck, get the fluff out.
Welcome to Get the Fluff Out. I'm Hollywood, along with your co-host, Dirty Jim. And thanks for joining us on our rockin' journey through the decades in our quest for the musical Holy Grail, creating the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist. On each episode, we'll choose which songs from an album review that will make the cut to appear on the playlist. It's time to experience the soundtrack of our lives. It's time for the UK's favourite game show, Not Bloody Likely. Sorry, that was right.
You realize some people that possibly came back to us after we insulted them on our Lipstick and Leather podcast probably just turned this one off.
I'm so sorry, man. I got so excited since we're going to be reviewing an album from a British band. All of a sudden, Not Bloody Likely, that segment that we used to do on Lipstick and Leather, it just came right to my. I loved that segment. So
we
fun.
did, they didn't.
Yeah. Jimmy. Well, you know what? We have a fully packed show here, and I definitely want everyone to say hi to our producer and engineer, Frank. Hey, Frank, how's it going over there?
Frank.
Hold on a second. Frank is holding up a sign to the glass. He must have prepared this ahead of time. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me read it. Oh, the sign reads to tell Dirty Jim that he's a pig dog whose mother is a hamster and your father smells like elderberries.
This has to be some UK slang.
Yeah, I think Frank has been watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail lately or something.
I love the Haley. I love the Holy Grail.
Yeah. Oh, no. Frank's holding up another sign. He said, tell Jim, I fart in your general direction.
That's just gross, Frank.
Frankie's a pretty funny guy.
Yeah, well, you realize if you smell it, you have poop dust in your nose.
Exactly. If you smelt it, you dealt it. All right, Jim. So guess what? This is the first time that we're going to be reviewing an album that was actually released before both of us were born. Can you believe that?
That's true. Only a couple years before I was born.
Yeah, so this album was released in 65. You were born in 67. I was born in 68. So why don't we just get right into the band and everything, and we'll just get right into our episode.
That sounds about right.
Okay, so the album that we're going to be reviewing today is Rubber Soul by the Beatles, released in 1965. So obviously the Beatles, they come from Liverpool, England. They were formed in 1960. And this album, Rubber Soul, is the 6th album in their catalog. So we're going to go through the band members. Obviously, we have John Lennon, the legendary John Lennon, lead and backing vocals, guitar, organ. Paul McCartney on lead and backing vocals, bass, as well as guitar. George Harrison, lead backing vocals and guitar. And then Ringo Starr on drums and organ as well.
Now, I do all these notes, obviously, and Ringo Starr does sing a song here. I don't know why I didn't list him as lead vocals.
Yes, he does have one, but when we review it, we'll see why it's not listed as a lead vocalist. Why don't you get into some album notes, dude?
All right, a few album notes. In the U.S., this went 6 times platinum, which is over 6 million albums sold. It reached number 1 on the U.S. Billboard charts. It also reached number 1 in Australia, Finland, West Germany, and the UK. And this was the first Beatles album not to feature the band's name on the cover. And this was a big album for the Beatles. It was a transition album. It was a departure away from the focus of being on singles to creating albums with more expressive, high-quality arrangements for their songs. And I'm sure you have other things you'd like to say about this album.
You know what? I will actually reserve the things I will say for each of the songs. So I'm going to be including other stuff while we're actually reviewing the album.
All right, what do you think? Do you want to get right into it?
Dude, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to start it out with track number 1, Drive My Car. Okay, so Drive My Car, nice start to the album. It's upbeat, pretty straightforward and short. It's not a windows down, crank it up type, but it isn't going to make the ride less enjoyable if you do. The only thing is you might get some funny looks from the youngins during the beep, beep, yeah part.
Yeah.
But to me, it is a prime cut.
Drive My Car. I like this track. It starts with a 5-second intro, which leads into these dissonant, harmonized vocals in the verses, which is really cool and different, so I like that. And the main riff, to me, is interesting because the guitar and bass are playing the exact same riff together throughout the song. And don't quote me on this, but I think Blue Oyster Cult got the idea of using cowbell on Don't Fear the Reaper from Ringo Starr on this song. Oh my God. Cowbell is all over the song and also with lots of tambourine. So I think they were actually influenced by this song by the Beatles. Also, I love the piano keyboards under the chorus where they're using these quarter note triplet pattern, which is awesome. That da 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 da, baby, you can drive my car. Da 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 da. I love that part. To me, it's a very fun song. It's a great track to start the album, and it's making the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist on Spotify. It's a prime cut.
Do you think that the legendary producer Bruce Dickinson maybe got the idea for cowbell from this song?
Baby, I need more cowbell.
All right, let's shuffle on down. This is your track to start out with. Track number 2, Norwegian Wood, This Bird Has Flown.
Okay, so Norwegian Wood, this track, it's basically a folk-style song. It starts with acoustic guitar strumming, and then it's joined by a sitar. And as I started hearing the sitar, I realized something. If Judas Priest used more sitar in their songs, perhaps they could have been as big as the Beatles. I know. Who knows?
I don't know if that's true.
But on this track, John Lennon sings the vocal melody line the same exact way as the musical melody line. There's no real chorus to the song, but yet there's something awesome about the song. I dig it. To me, it's a prime cut making the playlist.
All right. We didn't mention, I don't think, that Drive My Car was sung by McCartney and Lennon, because I saw you mention Lennon for this one. So I just wanted to make sure that they got their just due for track number 1. But
yeah, absolutely. I think on a lot of these songs, though, most of the time it's Lennon and McCartney singing together. If it just in the chorus or sometimes throughout the whole song, it's basically most of them just singing on the songs. We can focus on, let's say, George Harrison or Ringo on certain songs.
Well, that sounds about right. So my breakdown for Norwegian Wood, man, I can't speak tonight. Norwegian Wood. It's a short, pleasant sounding, slower, steady tempo song of infidelity. There's not a lot to it. It's not going to set the dance floor on fire, but it's very soothing to the ears. You know, you're listening. It's like you said, it's just a good song. And I think it's a great fit for the Gen X project, but I only want to take it in as a deep cut, but it still makes the playlist because, well, that's the rules. So let's move on down. I'll take track number 3, You Won't See Me. All right, so You Won't See Me is done by Paul McCartney. Now, without the words to this song, you would never know this is a song of lost love. The poppy sound does not match the lyrical content at all. But it doesn't matter. It's got a nice lower medium flow. It's a solid song, but not just like Norwegian Wood. This one also is not quite prime for me. It will be on the playlist if I have my way, but only as a deep cut.
Okay, so You Won't See Me. Now, to me, this is the epic long track of the album at 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Oh my God. For the Beatles, this is like their version of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner by Iron Maiden at this stage of their career.
I think our breakdowns so far have lasted longer than most of the songs.
Right? But just like you said, I mean, the juxtaposition of the music to the lyrics is insane. I mean, the song is happy and upbeat, but you focus on the lyrics and you're like, oh my God, the song is so sad and heartbreaking, but the music is happy and uplifting. It's like, and especially when you hear the ooh la la la, ooh la la la.
Again, not a roll down the window crank upper.
Right. And it's funny, when you hear that part of the song, the ooh la la parts, that was actually used, or perhaps influenced to be used in the movie School of Rock with Jack Black. There was a song that they were writing together in the classroom, and the kids wrote a song called Rock Got No Reason. And then Jack Black assigned 3 of the girls to sing this same exact part where they're going, ooh la la la, ooh la la la. So I love that movie, School of Rock with Jack Black, and I really dig this track as well. To me, it's a prime cut, and it is making the ultimate Gen X rock and mixtape playlist.
I was going to say before we got into this album that when we review these albums, there are definitely people that are totally not going to agree with us. Like, there are people who absolutely hate the Beatles. There are people who absolutely hate Twisted Sister when we both love Twisted Sister. You know, and just like our next album that we're doing, Queensryche, there are people who absolutely hate Queensryche, and mostly because of Jeff Tate. But they hate Queensryche, and we love Queensryche. Where the Beatles here, I was never a huge Beatles fan, but I do think that they're very good. And, I would say they're great. But there's a lot of songs that I'm not going to, identify with where it seems like you are right now.
Yeah, well, I think, obviously for us as Gen Xers, we heard just a variety of rock music, and there's a lot of hard rock metalheads that love the Beatles.
Right.
And they're into like really heavy stuff, but at the same time, they're Beatles fanatics. Look at Ozzy Osbourne. He's a huge Beatles fanatic. So, so I think it goes either way.
Yeah, I'm not cold cutting them, but so far I've only had one prime cut. But let's see what happens when we go down track number 4, which is yours, and it's Nowhere Man.
Okay, Nowhere Man. All right, the first time I heard Nowhere Man was from a neighbor friend. His name is Raphael Velez in Lantern Park in Naugatuck, Connecticut. In fact, he was the first person who introduced me to the Beatles, which was right around, I guess, 1977, 78. So I was like 9, 10 years old at the time when I first heard the Beatles. And when I heard this song, I instantly fell in love with this song. The harmonized vocals throughout the song are just killer. And this is absolutely in my top 10 Beatles songs of all time. It's a prime cut, and it's also my...
Wow.
It's my Groovy Apple Scruff track of the album. It's a prime cut, making the playlist.
Groovy, baby.
Interesting. You're going to have to tell me what Apple Scruff means.
The Apple Scruffs, those were just die-hard Beatles fans. They hung out outside the Apple recording studios and Apple business offices. They were just hardcore Beatle fans, and they were called Apple Scruffs.
Well, you're a little tidbit I did not know.
Yeah. In fact, if you listen to Breakfast with the Beatles, it's been on syndicated for like 30, 35 years or whatever. You'll actually hear the host, I forget, I'm forgetting his name, but he would talk about, hey, welcome Apple Scruffs out there. And he would mention that as part of his dialogue.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be disappointed again, I think, but Nowhere Man for me. I find it amazing what this band can do with some basic chords and great harmonies. And they do this on so many of these songs. But this has a slower, steady tempo. You can't help but sing along or even, maybe whistle, maybe hum, make some kind of noise with your mouth. But whatever method you choose, you will be using that skill while you're listening to this song to carry that melody along, with the song. It'll get stuck in your head, but not in an annoying way. It belongs on a playlist, but for me, again, it's only a deep cut.
All right. I understand.
But it does. It ends up on the playlist.
Absolutely, it does.
All right. Well, let's move down to track 5. I Will Take It. Think for Yourself. All right. For me, it's the same as the last song. It's amazing what this band can do with just some basic chords and great harmonies. This is more upbeat, but it won't blow you away. It's more good to me than great, but that's not keeping it off of my list. And once again, it is another deep cut.
Okay, Think for Yourself. Now, this is the first song on the album with George Harrison on lead vocals. And he sounds really good. I like how this song also uses a fuzz tone distortion, but it's actually not on the guitar. If you listen closely, it's actually Paul McCartney's bass that is distorted. And it almost sounds like a distorted organ keyboard, something like that, in the background, but it's actually a distorted bass that's playing. So that gives the musical foundation of this track a different feel. I dig this song. I agree with you. I think this is a good track. It's not a great track, so I'm putting it on as a deep cut, but it's still making the playlist.
All right. I forgot whenever I was talking about the song to mention Mr. Harrison, so I apologize to the Harrison family. All right.
Rest in peace, George.
Why don't you take track number 6, The Word?
Okay, The Word. So this track starts with piano chords with vocals coming right in at the 4-second mark. I love it. And the song is interesting because they took a basic 1-4-5 rock and roll blues progression and they kind of sprinkled it with sunshine and glitter. And then there's this kind of contrasting staccato guitar chords kind of doing a Will Smith smacking you in the face. So it's kind of crazy that Paul has this cool bass line in the song, and I just dig the message of the song. It's all about love. It's just L-O-V-E.
Oh, no.
Anyone out there who's a metalhead knows exactly what I just did.
Wasp.
But I think this is a really cool track. It's not one of my favorites, but I really like this song. It's a deep cut for me.
All right. Well, let me mention that this was done by Lennon. And it's, like you said, it's got a different funky rhythm, and it's different than anything else on the album. And the first time I went through these songs, this was an immediate Fluff cut. But the more I heard it, the more I liked it. It won me over, but I'm only adding it as a deep cut.
Wow, that's cool. I'm glad that, because just so you guys know out there, as we're preparing for each of the podcast episodes, we listen to these songs over and over. Obviously, we heard them throughout, our lives.
Some of we have. So, but for the most part, we have heard most of these songs. Right.
But when we're preparing for the episodes, we listen to this stuff 3, 4, 5, 6 times as we're just kind of getting an understanding of what is going on in these songs. And just what happened to Dirty Jim may actually happen to you guys out there. If you've never heard this song, The Word, you hear it for the first time, you may think it's okay, but it kind of grows on you as you listen to it more and more. So I'm glad that you deep-cutted this song and it's making the playlist.
It's like Rocky when he went to Russia and how he grew on them. All right. Let's move on down to track number 7, I Will Take It, Michelle. All right. So Michelle was done by Paul McCartney, and this song won a Grammy in 1967 for Song of the Year. Let me repeat that. This song was chosen at the Grammys for Song of the Year.
Absolutely.
This is a ballad that evokes no emotion from me. And I'm not really sure that I want to be associated with anyone that disagrees.
Oh, boy.
Now, at the Grammys for Song of the Year, it beat out toe-tapping nominees such as Strangers in the Night, Born Free, and The Impossible Dream. I would also be sending To the Same Lonely Place That I'm Hurling Michelle To. Climb aboard the Fluff train, Michelle. You and your Grammy Award disgust me. It's a fluff cut for me.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Okay. So for me, Michelle. So with this song, a part of the lyrics are in French. So this track kind of takes on this French cabaret style to the song. And it's basically about how a language barrier separates two lovers. So when he says, Michelle, my belle, it actually translates to Michelle, my beautiful. And the part that McCartney sings in French is actually a translation of the second line of the verse where it says, these are words that go together well. So he's just saying it in English one part, and then he translates into French. And in the middle of the song, I love George Harrison's brief muted guitar solo melody line in the middle, and then he also uses that at the end of the song. To me, this song, it transports me to sitting outside a cafe on a busy cobblestone street near the Arc de Triomphe. I'm wearing sunglasses and a beret. I'm drinking wine and eating massive amounts of fromage. Oui, oui, mon chéri. 'Tis a prime cut for sure. And that nullifies the fluff cut, and it means it's making the playlist.
Oh my. If anything that year had a little rocking something to it, it would take over all of these songs.
I mean, they should have maybe in 67, the Doors released stuff, Jimi Hendrix released some stuff. Come on, there was other songs in 67 that could have been nominated for a Grammy of the Year, but I like the song a lot. I don't know if it should have won the Grammy, but anyway, I dig it. It's a prime cut, and it's making the playlist.
Oh, insert vomit sound, Frank. Insert vomit sound. All right, let's go down to track number 8. You Take It. What Goes On?
Oh, poor Ringo. What is going on with this song? It's the Beatles' attempt at a country song. I mean, this pseudo country guitar, it's so sloppy. I don't know I think it's George Harrison who's playing it or John Lennon in the background, but that country rhythm guitar playing in the background, it's bad. It's sloppy. And Ringo singing out of tune. To me, it's like when Led Zeppelin, they tried playing a country song themselves called Hot Dog. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They did that on the album.
Enter the Outdoor.
Exactly. But the way Jimmy Page played that song, when I heard it, I was like, he's so sloppy. Was he like, high on heroin or something? What?
Possibly.
But yeah, I mean, there is a certain feel and technique to be able to play country guitar well. And, there's this guy out there called John Five. He's this amazing instrumentalist. You've actually seen him in concert, Dirty Jim, because he played for Rob Zombie before. He's played for Marilyn Manson. But at the same time, he's an amazing country guitar player, and he knows how to play country properly. But the Beatles and Zeppelin, oh boy, they did not have that ability. It's like we should all hold up a sign at rock concerts that read, "Rockers don't let rockers play country music." Off to the fluffy wasteland you go. Oh, it's a fluff cut.
Well, this might surprise you a little bit.
Oh my God.
I think it's upbeat, it's fun, it's a bit hillbilly, and I'm sure that it's a favorite for banjo players everywhere. It's a good time.
There's no banjo in it, though.
No, I know there's no banjo, but there should have been. Don't you hear it where it's like, wow, this really sounds like it should have had banjo.
Yeah, they should have called Steve Martin. Yeah, come on, Steve.
Exactly. I would have loved to hear Steve. But it's a good time, knee-slapping, jug band sing-along. I hear Johnny Cash in it. I hear the Grateful Dead. It's possible they actually grabbed this one from the Soggy Bottom Boys songbook.
Oh, my God. Awesome.
And many will probably disagree, but I am a fan of it. Just like the other one, I kept listening and listening. I'm like, not bad, but it's a deep cut for me, which means that it is now eliminated from the playlist because any deep cut that's matched up with a fluff cut does not make the playlist.
That's correct. Those are the rules. Right on.
Right.
So
let's get on down to track number 9. I'll take it. And it is called simply Girl. All right. Girl is sang by John Lennon. And I'm going to make this short and sweet. This is a slow, simple, kind of boring cut of the fluffy variety. In other words, I'm labeling it a fluff cut.
Okay, so with Girl, the vocals are by John Lennon, and it starts off the track with acoustic guitar strumming on this ballad. And many people speculated at the part where he sings, "Ah, girl, girl." It sounds like he's actually taking a toke on a spliff,
Okay.
a doobie, a ganja, grass, Mary Jane, weed, the pot. So I guess that the parents of baby boomers were right when they warned their Beatlemaniac children about the dangerous Fab Four. Bad mop tops. Bad. Bad. I agree with Dirty Jim. It's a fluff cut. Off you go.
That might be the first one we've I think we both agreed for Drive My Car, right? Prime cut?
Right, but I think this is the first time we're agreeing on a fluff cut.
No, I think George Harrison's song, we both agreed deep cut.
Oh, okay, but as far as a fluff cut, we're fluffing Girl.
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact. Do we have something where I believe we do have something to play when we double fluff cut something?
I like that double fluff cut.
It's a double fluff. Play it away, Frank.
You gotta get on down to Fluffy Town. Get down, get on down. There's no escape from Fluffy Town. Get down, get on down. Get down.
All right, move down to track number 10. This is your song, and it is I'm Looking Through You.
Okay, I'm Looking Through You. Now, this is a mid-tempo song. It starts with acoustic guitar strumming, but there's something kind of intriguing that happens 4 times in the song for 5 seconds each time. Now, it's my belief, and I could be completely wrong, but it's my belief that the signature vocal harmonies of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young were influenced by this one song. Just listen to this clip here. Just give it a second.
You don't look different, but you have changed.
I mean, those vocal harmonies, it totally sounds like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I mean, I love that part of the song. The rest of the song, it's okay. I'm not a huge fan of the track, but I do like it enough where I'm going to give it a deep cut. We'll see what Dirty Jim's going to give this song to see if it stays on the playlist or not.
All right. Well, let me just tell you, it's staying. So,
Oh, okay.
all right, the vocals on this one were by McCartney, and this is a medium tempo, fun, upbeat sing along. You'll be tapping along with some appendage without even realizing it.
Appendage?
Yes. And yes, that actually does qualify as low.
Oh my God.
It qualifies as low impact cardio.
There you go.
Yeah, so please enjoy the healthy benefits of this one. But to me, I really like this one. This is not only a prime cut for me, but it is also my Fab Four bowl cut blast of the album.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow. I can't believe that that's your Fab Four bowl cut track of the album.
I think this might be the most rockin' song of the album.
Wow, okay. That's cool. I was totally thinking you were going to do another song coming up here as your, favorite track of the album, but that's awesome. I'm glad you like I'm Looking Through You as your, what was it again?
My Fab Four bowl cut blast of the album.
1, 2, 3, 4.
But all right, let's move down to track 11. I Will Take It, and it is In My Life. All right, the vocals on this one are done by John Lennon, and I don't recommend listening to this one alone, especially if you're doing some solo drinking. This will have you reminiscing about anything and everything. You've been warned. This is short, it's sweet, but it is a playlist deep cut for me.
So for me, In My Life, this is a slower tempo ballad type song. And just like you said, it's a powerful song lyrically about nostalgia. I mean, every time I hear this song, it reminds me of my childhood in Naugatuck, Connecticut, and all the friends I had, and how several of them already have passed away.
I bet two of those guys really miss you.
Yeah, I know they do. But especially for those of us who are a little bit older, I mean, yeah, we tend to reminisce about the past. I mean, we reminisce about the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, that's just Dirty Jim.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I love this track. I really dig the middle keyboard solo, and of course the vocal harmonies are stellar. To me, it's a no-brainer. This was almost my favorite track of the album. I was on the fence, going back and forth, but In My Life is absolutely a prime cut, and it's making the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist.
All right then. Let's shuffle on down to your track number 12, Wait.
Okay, Wait. Now, on this song, there's no intro. It starts immediately with singing and music together. And I'm totally into the percussive elements of the song, with there's tambourine and there's maracas complementing each other throughout the song. I like the song. It's not my favorite, but to me, it's a deep cut, hopefully making the playlist.
All right. This one is done vocally by Lennon and McCartney. And it has a lot of the typical elements of a Beatles song. You have the great harmonies, and there are some really, really good parts of this song. It's okay, but it's a little choppy for me. It never really flows right. It's not one that would make me ask, what am I listening to? But I won't miss it if I never hear it again. And that's why, to me, it is a Fluff cut.
Oh, man.
Goodbye, Wait. Goodbye. You don't make the playlist. You do not make the playlist.
Oh, that's too bad. I like that song.
Some would say too bad. Some would say too good as we move down to Track number 13, I'll take this one, If I Needed Someone. This one is done by George Harrison vocally. Unlike the last song, this does have a good medium flow. It doesn't blow me away, but it's got a nice, mild, friendly sound with some ear-pleasing harmonies. I like how they use the chorus as a one-liner after the verses. I can see enjoying this one on a leisurely ride through the countryside on a balmy summer day. But when it comes to the playlist, it is only a deep cut.
Okay, so as you said, this is another George Harrison track. I like his voice, and I love the harmonized vocals and the guitar sound of this song. I mean, the way the guitar sounds, it's kind of this jangly, trebly sound that actually sounds a little bit like Roger McGuinn, who's the singer and a leader and guitarist of the Byrds. And he was famous for using a 12-string Rickenbacker guitar. There's a certain sound to the Byrds. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at the timeline here. Was George Harrison influenced then by Roger McGuinn and the Byrds, who released their debut album, which was called Mr. Tambourine Man, in June of 1965? And then, obviously, keep in mind that Rubber Soul was released in December of 65. So perhaps he was influenced to play a guitar that sounds kind of like Roger McGuinn. Who knows? But it doesn't matter because I love the track, and so will everyone else, because they're going to hear it on the Ultimate Rockin' Mixtape playlist. It's a prime cut, baby.
Man, you are prime cutting everything on this.
Dude, I'm not. I have a lot of deep cuts, too.
All right. Let's go down to the last track of the album. Last but not least, track number 14, and you will go first on this one, Run for Your Life.
Okay, Run for Your Life. Now, as it's an upbeat, country-like acoustic guitar strumming that starts off this, I don't know, psychopathic jealousy song by John Lennon. I mean, to be fair, John Lennon, he actually wrote Run for Your Life loosely based on an Elvis Presley song, which is called Baby Let's Play House. But Lennon retained the line from the Presley track, which is actually the first line of this song, where he says, "Well, I'd rather see you dead, little girl, than to be with another man." Dude, the lyrics of this song are insane and completely different from the kind of happy melody of this track. And then even in the chorus, he says, "You better run for your life if you can, little girl. Hide your head in the sand, little girl. Catch you with another man, that's the end, little girl."
We sounded just like Lennon and McCartney there.
I mean, as crazy as the song is, I dig it. It's not my favorite, but it's a deep cut.
And like I said before, I didn't say this before, but this is the first time I heard this album in its entirety, because I basically just listen to greatest hits when it comes to the Beatles. I don't have albums. Maybe Magical Mystery Tour. And what's
Sgt.
the other
Pepper's.
one? That's it.
Sgt.
Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah.
I probably have those two albums, and that's about it.
I have them all.
Well, I could tell. I could tell you're a big Beatles fan.
I have them all, and I listen to every one of them from beginning to end, all of them.
So now, the first time through, this one immediately, again, was a fluff cut, but it grew on me. And as I started listening to this more and more, it sounds like they're going to go right into Wake Up Little Susie when this song starts. It has that 50s, early 60s poppy feel to it. I'm sure that Marcia and Greg Brady would have had a kicky blast at Westdale High School. Sorry, I've just choked. At the Westdale High School dance. And I bet Marcia probably would have canceled her date with poor Charlie and gone with someone else, like that hunky, shallow Doug Simpson.
Oh my God, Doug Simpson.
It was wrong what Marcia did to Charlie. And the football that hit her in the nose, it was just karma coming back at her.
Yeah, Charlie was such a nice guy, you know?
And she learned, that football taught her a well-deserved lesson. And I think Charlie would agree with that. And in fact, I think that Charlie would also agree that Run for Your Life is a bona fide deep cut.
All right. So as a deep cut, we both deep cutted it.
Yes.
And that means it's making the ultimate Gen X Rockin' Mixtape playlist that's going to be posted on Spotify. Awesome.
Would that only make Wait and What Goes On? Those are the only two not making the playlist.
As I'm looking at my notes, yeah, you're right.
And sadly, the Grammy Award winner of 1967 is going to make the playlist.
Oh, no, not sadly. Gladly.
Oh, wait till you guys hear this. And unfortunately, we can't pick the 30-second clips that Spotify puts in for us. So sometimes...
Dude, you make it sound... You said, wait till you hear this. Like that people out there listening have never heard the song Michelle by the Beatles. Come on. It's a huge song.
Some people out there probably have avoided it. I wish I had. But... But like I said, we don't pick the 30-second clips for these songs, so we never know what they're going to choose. So if we say something's a prime cut and all of a sudden they play the worst part of that song, you guys are going to be like, why did these guys pick that 30-second clip? We do not pick them.
Right.
But with all that being said, we're done. That was 14 tracks done.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great album review, and we did it within a good amount of time, 14 songs. So,
yeah,
I mean, that does it for our album review of Rubber Soul by the Beatles. So, Dirty Jim, what amazing music will we be reviewing next time?
All right. Well, the companion episode for this, which you can go listen to right now as you finish this one up, will be Queensryche's Empire album, but in 2 weeks, you will be able to hear the 2009 album from Skillet, Awake, and the 1984 album from the Scorpions, Love at First Sting.
Wow. So, yeah, a definite contrast in music in the next couple weeks there with Scorpions and a band called Skillet. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, I had never really heard of a band called Skillet before. Dirty Jim has, so that's why it's on the playlist. And it's part of, it was, 2009 was how many years ago now? 13 years ago?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's part of our life. So let's check out those two episodes coming up in a couple weeks, Skillet and Scorpions. And then right now, if you guys want to, after this episode, go to listen to Queensryche Empire, please do so because it is already posted. We want to thank you for listening to the Get the Fluff Out podcast. We want to say that if you can go ahead, please, and hit the follow button or the subscribe button on whatever platform that you like listening to the podcast episodes. Obviously, on Spotify is where you're going to hear the music content, whether you have a free subscription, you're going to hear the 30-second clips, or if you have a paid subscription, you can hear the full songs if you'd like, or you could skip them and just listen to the talk content. But any other platform you listen to, obviously, you're just going to get the talk content. And if you'd like to send us an email with any kind of comments or suggestions, send it to getthefluffouttpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to comment also on our social media channels because we have channels on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us by just typing in Get the Fluff Out Podcast, or you could simply go to our website, www.getthefluffouttpodcast.com.
All right, and our sound effects are done by zapsplat.com. That's ZAPSPLAT. And our introduction music is done we've taken the music from looperman.com, and it's a drum loop from HP Records called Vintage Kit 2, and we combine that with a guitar loop from GeoMoon called Groovy Rock Guitars Loop Riff.
And then the outro music is actually a song called Elysian Fields by our band, which was called Forced Entry from 1988. And yes, it is a song that was written and copywritten by both Dirty Jim and Hollywood, myself.
The arrows stick with the dark of the night.
Absolutely. Oh, man, we got to post that someday. The actual full track with vocals.
Oh, I don't know if that's a good idea.
So we want to thank everyone for carving out some time in your busy schedule to listen to the Get the Fluff Out podcast and to get just a little Gen X nostalgic with us. So with that being said, Dirty Jim, we just got the fluff out.
That is a fact.